What's up guys, Speo here with the voice of reason, and in today's tutorial Malström and Thor will unite to create the ultimate dubstep bass. Anyway, today's tutorial is gonna be about an FM bass that's just a little bit special, and we'll take a listen to what this should sound like right away. The sweet sound of frequency modulation. Okay, first off we'll create a combinator. In the combinator, we'll create a Malström grain table synthesizer. We'll bring down the polyphony to 1. We'll bring up the portamento to about 24. And on the oscillator A, we'll select the voice throat wavetable. That's the throat wavetable. And then we'll bring down the motion to -46, and we'll bring up the index to 20. Also, we'll bring up the master level to 95. Hold down Shift to be more accurate. Okay, now we'll use this audio signal to frequency modulate an oscillator in Thor. So, we'll move on to creating a Thor polysonic synthesizer. Flip the rack around, disconnect these cables up here, and then take the main output left on the Malström into the audio in 1 input on the Thor. And then we can take the outputs of the Thor back into the combinator from devices inputs. Okay, now we hear the Thor. On the Thor, we'll activate the portamento with a value of about 20, set it to mono retrigger, and bring up the sustain on the amp envelope all the way. And then we'll select a sine wave for the analog oscillator that's up here, a sine wave. And we can deactivate the filter for now. And now, in the modulation matrix, we'll select the audio input 1, that is the Malström, and route it with an amount of 100 to the oscillator 1 frequency. And that's where the magic happens. Damn sweet. Okay, now for the filter 1, we'll create a low pass ladder, bring down the envelope and velocity amounts all the way, and bring up the frequency all the way for now. And for the filter 3, we'll create a state variable filter on high pass mode, and we'll bring down the frequency to about 100 hertz. Just to get rid of the very low frequencies, we'll replace with a sub. With a sub bass, sorry. And then we'll bring down the envelope and velocity amounts all the way too. Okay, now you could add a distortion unit, like the Scream 4, to make the bass even dirtier and grittier. But for my taste, it's quite dirty enough. So we'll move on to creating an equalizer. In the equalizer, we'll select a parameter, set it to 1.3 kilohertz, and just dig a hole in there with a gain of -14 dB. And then we can adjust the Q to about 4.4. Just gets rid of some annoying frequencies. And then we can move on to creating a reverb, RV700, and do the basic bass reverb steps. So set it to algorithm room, bring down the decay to about 25, we'll bring down the dry wet to about 20, and we'll bring up the damp to about 62. And then on the EQ, we'll bring down the low gain to -18 dB, and we'll bring up the frequency to about 542 hertz, and then enable the EQ with this button up here. Just makes it a little bit bigger. Okay, now that this is set up, we can hit the show programmer button on the combinator and program us a few buttons and rotaries we can then automate. So first I'd suggest selecting the Thor in the matrix here, and then select the filter 1 frequency as the target from the rotary 1. Now we can control the frequency of the first filter in the Thor with the rotary 1. So we'll set it all the way up for now. And then on the Malström, I'd suggest using the button 1 on the shift of the oscillator. So select oscillator A shift. And as a minimal value, we'll select 0. And as a maximal value, we'll select -20. Now what that allows us to do is every time we hit the button, the shift, which is a great knob on the Malström, it gets set to -20 and thus changes the way the sound sounds. That just allows for some variation in your drops, so you can have the pure bass wobble for a bit and then the shifted one. It's this little variation that makes a drop sound very cool and like big. Okay, Now we can alt-click those two parameters on the combinator. And now let me just quickly pull in the MIDI data I've prepared. Okay, as you can see, we've got some notes going. And the filter automation is just some standard ups and downs and slopes and stuff. And then I automate the button to hit every couple of times. Okay, and there we have our nice frequency modulation sound with the combined powers of Malström and Thor. This setup is really cool because you can do all kinds of crazy stuff on the Malström that changes the way this sine wave oscillator sounds. So we could, for example, play with the index on the throat. Or we could even select different wavetables, like Formant Saw, for example. Or maybe Synth FM1. So you can create really cool effects and basses with these wavetables up here and those frequency modulating an oscillator in Thor. It's quite a great setup for experimenting. But let's switch back to the throat wavetable. And we can also play with the volume on the Malström now to alter the intensity of the frequency modulation. 95 is a good value, I think. What you could also do to make the bass even, well, bigger and totally crazy, you could add another analog oscillator. Don't forget to activate it here. Set it to octave 6 on a sawtooth wave. And once again, select the audio input 1 on the modulation matrix with an amount of 100 to your oscillator 2 frequency. And this should now sound pretty crazy. So if that robo step kind of bass goes up your alley, then go ahead and have a setup like this, but I like it better with just the single sine wave. Okay, I hope this tutorial was useful and you go on to creating some crazy shit with this setup. My name's been Speo, this was the Voice of Reason. Have a good one of whatever you're having.